All right, hey guys, Android here. I'm going to be doing a warm-up cast. I've got an official cast that I have to do later this afternoon, and I'm super rusty. I have not been casting or been on the mic for like 2.5 weeks now, so just want to make sure I'm able to spit spell names and get back in the flow of things and warm up my voice. So we're going to be going and just kind of skipping around a little bit. Not going to be casting the entire game, but more just looking at big turning moments, big team fights, big momentum switches. So for right now, we've got our Clinks invading here. Hasn't leveled up his Skeleton Walk, but will most likely do so. Up top, it looks like we're going to have a big clusterfuck here as the Dire desperately need this Bounty Rune, but the arrow is going to connect. It does connect onto the Alchemist. They go through. The Slarn is able to pick up the Bounty Rune, and now the arrow gets the crush to land, and that's going to be a very dead Alchemist. Not only does he get starved out of the Bounty Rune, he gives up First Blood. It goes the way of the Mirana as well, which is going to really accelerate her farm. She's able to pick up a Bassi right off the bat. She already has 300 more gold to work with, so she is going to be able to pick up a very fast Aquila and most likely scale that immediately into Aghanim Scepter. Now mid lane looks like there is a bit of conflict of interest. I'm guessing what happened is Drow said they wanted to go mid, but Alchemist demanded it. Alchemist usually does require the mid lane to get enough farm just so he's able to go and solo out the creep wave without being harassed too heavily by a dual lane that he's laning against. Sometimes safe lane Alcs can work, but again, very greedy, and then you lose out on a lot of potential damage. Now over here in the bottom lane, we are going to have the Clinks just slapping away. Raptor's able to tank this up though. Having that Mango right there gives him a little bit of extra HP regen to sit back and take some of those more flaming arrows that are a bit unfortunate. Now we are going to have Slardar sitting back. He's not getting fantastic CS right now. He's only got 2 last hits, but just keeping the Clinks at bay is going to be enough because again, Dire have gone with a very greedy lineup here, going with essentially all cores. Not quite sure who intends on supporting. It looks like we're going to have some dual jungle going on. Drow Legion. Someone call the doctor. That is some severe cancer going on. Up top, though, there is going to be Solo Dusa, and if Solo Dusa can hold out against this Mirana without giving up too much in terms of CS, then things can actually balance out. I think Dusa comes online a lot earlier than people tend to think, and she is going to be fantastic picking up a lot of that solo farm. But again, if you let Mirana get her level 6 very early, if you let her get her Aghanim Scepter pre 18 minutes, then you're kind of screwed because there's a lot of burst damage coming out, and with the exception of Alchemist, you can't really take that up. So looks like we're going to have a Poison Touch here. Going to be going to Skeleton Walk that off. Just sit back, relax. Dazzle going in for the stacks, keeping this lane nice and pulled out in favor of this Slardar. And, Radiant's got a pretty balanced lineup. They've got that Mirana to bring in the raw damage, and if she's able to get a successful off lane, fantastic. You got Weaver in the mid lane, which, if he's able to actually take on the Alchemist, great. I'd like to see him in more of the off lane position and see Mirana in the mid lane, but again, doesn't really matter. It all comes down to can people get what they want to get before these cores start to get their farm, because this 5-core lineup is going to be very flimsy pre-level 6. From about 20 to 35 minutes should be quite strong, but after that I don't think they can keep up the acceleration that they need, so Radiant should start to pull ahead if they keep themselves balanced towards the end of this game. Now let's skip ahead just a little bit. We missed a couple of kills. See if anything big starts to happen. Looks like the Radiant are getting the kills that they want over up here in the top lane. We are going to see a gank coming in. Report your mid coming back through. The Poison Touch does latch. Now there will be that Stone Gaze coming back out from the Dusa. Going and spraying the Mystic Snake. It will bounce once, twice, but does not connect onto the Mirana. That would have been a fair bit of damage, but now because that snake doesn't hit, she is able to stay in lane and continue to last hit. She's been doing a pretty fantastic job there, picking up 21, but her net worth is actually not fantastic. She's opted to go, she picks up the Aquila, and then gets the stick, and then is picking up something to do with the Ring of Regen, so not rushing that Aghanim Scepter, as you typically expect Mirana to do. Now mid laner Alchemist still sitting on that soul ring, sitting on a bunch of money, able to go for that Radiance relatively shortly, but at 7 minutes in, you'd like him to have a little bit more money towards the Relic. He's had a bit of a tough time, but he's still sitting at top of the net worth chart. He's doing alright. Looks like he has died twice, so was killed off once again. That definitely hurts his time in lane, which overall hurts his farm. Now, over here, Mr. Gizzard the Lizard Wizard. That's a name I can get behind, but unfortunately his farm is not fantastic here. He's sitting second to the bottom, being out-farmed by pretty much everyone on the Radiant except for the support Dazzle, who's been contributing a lot here. 1-0-1, so he's gotten himself a kill, he's gotten himself an assist. The arrow, oh, it does connect right onto the back of the Drow. That's going to be a nice, easy kill for that Weaver, who's now sitting back. 2 kills, 1 assist, is having a very successful mid lane, and it looks like, based on the farm, has been able to deny a couple more bounty runes to the Alchemist. In mid lane, we are going to be setting up for a gank here. Alchemist does have his level 8. That Chemical Rage is ready to go, but he's not going to be able to pop it in time. He's sitting back. He goes for the Acid Spray instead, but the Malefice and everything just cuts him down. Starstorm from the Mirana just dropping that nuke damage, and that means the Mirana is able to pick up her second kill of the game as well. There should be a altogether cohesive push towards this mid lane. Our jungling Enigma has hopped out. He has his Blink Dagger, and looks like he should be going towards his mech, unless Dazzle's looking in that route, but Dazzle's a far way off when it comes to farm now. Big changes on the Dire side. Looks like Jungle Legion has picked up that Blink Dagger. Also sitting on the Iron Talon, but these two bros, they're splitting farm, they are splitting experience. The reason you go into the jungle is to get that solo farm, and there is just a lot of pinging, and I really doubt this Legion's going to come out of the jungle looking feisty anytime soon. Our Drow Ranger, another huge potential source of damage for the Dire, is not looking so hot as well. Has picked up treads here at 9 minutes in, which is actually quite fantastic, considering splitting jungle farm is no easy feat. Over here, let's check on our Medusa. He's going to be a key component of our team fight. Has that Stone Gaze rockin' ready, but aside from a couple pennies in the bank, not sitting on a huge investment. Certainly not going to be able to go for the Sanj, or rather the Yasha, into the Manta style anytime soon. And Mr. Gizzard, the Lizard Wizard, wrapping around, going in towards this mid lane. I doubt he can actually get something done onto the Slardar, though, because Slardar's reaction time is so quick. He does not have his Blink Dagger. He opted to go for the Armlet before Blink, but he does still have those 4 points in Crush, so able to just slam onto the tentacles. Meanwhile, there is going to be a big push coming out onto the bottom lane. We've got Enigma and his Eidolons, but it looks like our Weaver is going to abandon ship and not going to contribute towards his right-click damage on the tower. Rather than going in towards this mid, there is going to be a duel going in. Their dual win coming out for the Legion Commander. Not something I expected to see, but I guess she got that Blink Dagger and really wanted to show it off. Let's skip a little bit more into this mid-game here. Going through, we are going to have a big push coming out. There's going to be another duel attempt from the Legion Commander. She's perhaps thinking about it, but her Blink Dagger's on cooldown. Is she going to be able to catch up to the Mirana, or is Mirana going to go in, pops that Moonlight Shadow, but the duel does latch? Is she going to be able to finish the job? There is going to be that Midnight Pulse dropped onto the floor. The duel ends, and oh god, the Eidolon just rip her apart. Poor gal just wanted some damage, but unfortunately, Mirana was just tanky enough, and now picking up another component towards her Aghanim Scepter means she is getting close to that big old nuker status. We are going to have Mr. Gizzard, the Lizard Wizard, trying to chase down the Enigma, but unfortunately, Blink Dagger versus no Blink Dagger is not looking too good for the Clinks. Enigma able to go through and grab up that bounty rune for himself. Let's check on Alchemist here, who has found his Radiance, but very little on top of that. They're going to be going for a kill enemy. Gets up the Chemical Rage this time. The Crush does latch. Do they have enough damage to bash? Oh, it goes back in. That's a mega kill streak for the Slardar. There's a wraparound here. The rest of the Dire heroes are present, but it looks like they are not keen on jumping in. However, there is going to be Super Sperm, double damaged up, going in for the Scoochie, wants to get the Courier down. Will it be enough? Gets that double shot proc, and it is going to be enough to get the Courier away. No net worth on it. The Gust, it latches. Super Sperm could be in some trouble. There is going to be the Crush. It latches onto the Clinks, and it looks like they are going to be able to turn things. They do get the kill onto the Drow Ranger. Weaver will give his life, not able to get the time lapse off, but they are able to follow up with an arrow from the Mirana, who goes in, drops the Starstorm. Not a double one just yet. No Aghanim Scepter picked off, but Mystic Snake can't get any return kills, so a 1 for 3 and a Courier Snipe is going to be beneficial for Radiant in the long run. Alright. Looks like Radiant just kind of doing their own thing. Let's skip ahead a little bit further. Going in towards the transition to the later game. There is going to be an attempt here. Start again is going to go in. The duel was not successful. The Shallow Grave comes out. Slardar, he's still up. He's still fighting till his very last breath. Hopefully he can de-aggro the creeps, and it looks like there will be a heal out from the Dazzle to save his life. And the arrow is just going to spit on through. Not going to latch here. Looks like Start Again does have that Blink Dagger ready to get away. Another 2,000 gold ready to go, but Legion's got to be a little bit heartbroken about that lost duel onto the Slardar. It was so close. Just a couple more smacks. If she got a couple more procs of her, what is it? There we go. Moment of Courage. Could have been very successful for her. Now there is going to be Report Your Mid going and trying to Ancient Farm, but you've got a problem there. Super Sperm just kind of squiggling around behind you. There is going to be Moonlight Shadow coming back in, but it looks like the Alchemist going back on through, and they do have the duel up in 1 second. The Gust is off the mark, so they cannot lock down the Weaver. Over towards this bottom lane, they're still going to be working on this tier 1 location, moving finally up towards that tier 2. They'd really like to get a couple more towers going, because although Dire, it appears, are going to be a little bit weak when it comes to overall net worth, they would like a much bigger lead than that, having an Alchemist as their mid. Starting out, they need at least a 10,000 gold lead at this point. But yeah, Dire, if they do get their act together, if they do get a pretty complete wipe on the Radiant, they do still have the potential to push extremely quickly, especially with that Clinks, who has picked up the Desolator and is now moving towards the Orchid. Pretty interesting build. Usually you go one or the other. You kind of build your build around that core item, but I guess 2 nice little items never hurt. Orchid's super expensive, so we'll see if he's able to get a big bang for his buck. There are lots of very important silence targets. Got to make sure Weaver can't scooch you out of there. You really want to go ahead and lock down that Enigma before you get black holes. Now Duel coming in, unfortunately not going to work out so hot. The Stone Gaze is going to come in. We are going to see the Mirana try to leap away. Will she be able to get through? She is able just to scurry out her mount, taking some damage. She's got her open wounds, but she is still feeling good. Able to TP back home, so there are 3 dead, but the core Mirana does live to see another day, able to go back and heal up, and that did cost a lot of ultis coming out from the Dire team. They lose their Legion, they give away some dual damage, so in terms of overall fight, it could have been a lot worse for the Radiant. Getting that Mirana out was super crucial to making it at least an even fight. Now looking at overall net worth, it is in favor of the Dire, but again, because of the Alchemist, you'd expect it to be a lot higher. I think if you kind of negate the Alchemist net worth, it is very Radiant heavy right now. And overall, there we go. Overall XP is going to be in favor of the Dire, which is a bit surprising. Dire have been kind of cramped up, cooped up, fighting for farm, where Radiant seem to have the opportunity to spread out and go wherever they please. So you'd expect their levels to be a little bit better. Again, a lot of it comes from just being hard hitters so you can clear creeps faster and get XP faster. Alchemist going back in. Again, he's got himself a Radiance. Now he's picked up the Manta and the Travels, so he's pretty much on par for what you'd want from an Alchemist. With another 1,000 gold in the bank, it's looking pretty good. If he can continue to scale up like this, I think he might be able to carry his team, but he needs a little bit more time and needs the rest of his team to start really working together. You've stopped seeing the Drow Ranger and the Legion fight for farm in the jungle, which is pretty good. Drow Ranger is feeling quite flimsy here in terms of overall net worth. She is, again, right on top of the Dazzle, and only having 1 completed item, the Dragon Lance, is not sufficient at this point in the game. Almost 30 minutes in, you really got to get your first big item up, and now Clinks might be able to turn this home. Again, does have the Orchid ready to go. He might just go and try to get the silence off, but a little bit too late. Doesn't have anything to go and cancel that Scoochie. No vision for him. So unfortunately, no Diffusal Blade. Cannot use that Drow's Gust to lock the Weaver in place just for a little bit. And it does have to let that kill go. Still going to be trying to track him around, maybe trying to rotate towards the mid. We are going to have the arrow connecting. Oh, beautiful connect onto the Legion Commander. This is a very ballsy play here from the Mirana, who is going to get surrounded upon. Does end up leaping right before the silence hits, and looks like she'll be able to get away. There will be a blink though. The Duel coming back in, but Mirana, she hits hard. They are going to bring in the black hole. It connects onto 2 as Clinks was right behind looking for something. The Unstable Concoction does hit on the Enigma with the mechanism, keeps everyone alive. The Midnight Pulse doing that slow, steady tick damage. The rest of the Radiant heroes are there to follow up. It is going to be a 3 for nothing. That Mirana was in such a bad position, but did end up getting what she needs. Alright, great fight there from the Radiant. They're looking good. That gold exchange is pretty ferocious, especially for such a item-heavy team like the Dire. And it looks like Radiant should be able to go through and push and get what they need to get done. And skipping ahead just a little bit towards our late game here. I'd expect Alchemist to be a lot bigger than that. He has his Octarine now, but oh, there we go. He got lots of gold. Never mind. He's where he needs to be. But in terms of our other carries, Medusa is really the only one pulling some weight. And oh, I do not like this item build. She went for the phase boots, which is great. Always have TPs, check plus, but going straight for the Manta, going straight for the Scotty, such big, expensive items, and the progress up means you just do so little. If you had started with, you know, even a Dragon Lance or getting a Aquila or something, just little stepping stones along the way, you'd be so much farther along. And we are going to have start again going in for the Duel here onto the Dazzle. Can Dazzle get up the grave? Is it going to last long enough? There is going to be an item brought out right now, just going to be some wards. Now Dazzle does have the opportunity. We'll go for a grave and we'll just TP straight out. Do they have the damage? No! Grave is going to last just a little bit too long, and the Gust is a bit late from the Drow. Doesn't cancel TPs, but maybe would have helped give them just a little bit more time. So unfortunately, Dire have to let that one go. Dazzle is doing a fantastic job here, bringing up the bottom of the net worth chart, but as someone playing that position 5, always sympathetic to good supports doing what they do. And now Mirana is going to go ahead and pick up that Butterfly. A bit of a quirky build to immediately follow up the Aghanim Scepter, but she's doing pretty well for herself. Now Clinks is going to be going in, wants to unload here onto the Dazzle, but the 4-step back up to the high ground means he just has to shadow walk himself away. This tower getting mighty low. Even the Fortify, I don't think, can save this. Wow, Mirana, again, showing her balls, just leaping in, dropping the Starstorms and jumping back out. Not scared of any unstable concoctions or whatnot coming out of the Alchemist. He's going to be TPing himself to the bottom lane to try to get himself some farm, but that does leave the rest of the lineup very, very vulnerable. The Poison Touch does latch onto the Medusa. in the back. They're going to start again going into the Blade Mail. Does get the latch onto Raptor. Now the arrow flies through. Unfortunately, Mirana not going to be on point this time with the black holes. Raptor's still alive. They get to. Enigma does exactly what he needs to do. And now it looks like poor Drow Ranger is left to the wolves. Will be cleaned up as well. Crush for good measure. Getting Slardar some farm, but fantastic reaction there from the Radiant. The Alchemist TPing out was the crucial point there. It left them so much more vulnerable. The rest of the heroes stayed in. Oh, but they did not live that long. Again, big gold change going in favor of the Radiant. Now looking at overall net worth, I'd say that is very far in Radiant's favor. The chart is deceptive, again, because you have an Alchemist holding on to such a huge portion of the overall net worth, but Alchemist isn't really adding a whole lot to these fights. We'll see what he does here. He goes with the Unstable Concoction, but can't fight in the Midnight Pulse. Now there is going to be that Stone Case going in. It looks like the rest of the Radiant do want to back out. Coach Martin could be in some trouble going back in. Lands the Crush, though. Force Staff back up. Goes for the amp damage. Can they actually bring down the Alchemist? Looks like he should be able to get back up to high ground, but the Shallow Grave keeping them fighting. They are going to go in the Weaver, dishing out so much damage. They are able to get the slow off. Nice Diffusal Blade charge, and man, this Slardar plays without fear. Able to go. They force a buyback from the Alchemist, but that is more than what Radiant wanted. It looks like Radiant very securely have this game in the bag. Fantastic play overall. If for some reason the Mirana can go and outfarm this Alchemist, they've absolutely won. There's no way that Dire can come back when they're going for such greedy items. You see the Legion starting out with a Vanguard. I mean, she's building hard survivability, which is great, but the problem is that her duels are just too short. She doesn't have the lockdown for long enough to get the job done because her team isn't playing as a team and not focusing on one target. So when she jumps in, the rest of the team has to be right on her heels, following up the same way the Radiant are playing. A Drow Ranger here, still virtually nothing, has picked up a BKB, but it is clearly not working out so hot. She still got 7 deaths and really doesn't add a whole lot of damage to the field. And our Clinkz, I mean, he's doing all right. He's got himself some decent items, but it's Clinkz versus the world here. You've got your Alk, who's technically building correctly. It's a matter of what he adds to his team. He's not really the one going in doing the massive damage. He's not really the one going in and damage sponging these entire fights, so he just kind of has to sit back and he's walking around while these fights are taking place and he's TPing and trying to get farm, but farm can only take you so far. It's a game about wiping out the other team and getting down the Ancient, so let's skip ahead here, go towards our last big hurrah. Looks like the Radiant are doing pretty hot. 4 heroes dead. I think we already missed most of the action, but there's sure to be at least a couple of buybacks there. Legion sitting on 1, ready to go if she does want to get back into the fight. Tier 4 is exposed. Slardar taking up a lot of damage, but again with the Assault Cuirass, with the Armlet, he is not really in that much danger. They do need to go and control this wave a little bit, pushed out a bit farther from Comfort, but again with the creeps coming in, backdoor protection no longer an issue. The buyback from the Legion means this could come down to a couple more hits. The Clinkz is there. The Clinkz looks very demoralized. The arrow, oh god, just gonna be a bit short. Now Legion's gonna be going back on through, and she is just gonna be watching the world burn as the final lane of Rax will be coming in, crumbling at her feet. She's just farming up creeps. It's all she can do. And now there are gonna be mega creeps for the Radiant. So it seems like this game is very, very firmly in Radiant's grasp. So start again, gonna live up to the name, gonna have to go back, queue for another pub, and see if Jungle Legion can be successful in that one, because unfortunately, a very greedy 5-core lineup, going for greedy items, not playing with anyone taking a position for roamer role is not working out. Now there's going to be one final hurrah, Crush off the mark, but they are able to go through. The Blade Mail from the Legion, not going to keep her alive this time, as man, this Slardar is so tanky. The Ancient is falling. There is going to be a Stone Gaze coming back up. The duel to lock the Slardar in place, but he's living through it. Can he actually win this? He gets the duel damage. Now everyone's stoned up on the back lines, but Dazzle, he's still around. He's able to grave someone if needed. He's able to go through. Oh man, the Slardar, he's still alive. He's using the Armlet. He's got the BKB, and finally, the Ancient falls in favor of the Radiant. Fantastic play from the Radiant, clearly playing as a team. They picked what looked like, in terms of damage, just a weaker lineup, but they were able to execute very cleanly. Crazy black holes, crazy graves, and yeah, 5-core lineups do not win games when you're playing against a team that actually has strategy. So, well played, Radiant. Dire, maybe thinking about your drafting choices, thinking about your item choices, and yeah. Alright, I feel warmed up, I feel ready. Oh, let's do it. I am ready to go cast a professional game now. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, always open for feedback. This was not a super serious cast, so I was not focusing too much on eliminating some of my overused phrases, which if someone wants to go back and count the amount of times I said latch, you're probably in like the double digits at least. So again, thank y'all. Hope you enjoyed. I will catch y'all later.